Okay, so we'll go ahead and get started here. Appreciate your time. We got a full house here, so I'm going to go ahead and get moving here. So today we're going to talk about the flexible out-of-the-box WMS for SAP Business One by WSYS. And I'm going to go ahead and just jump right into this here. And I'm going to start with a question, actually. What is a WMS and who needs it? All right, so when we look at WMS, the way we look at it is it's a suite of products and processes that enable the warehouse workers to be able to update SAP Business One at real time, meaning at the first touch point in the organization. So that means when a warehouse worker or somebody actually moves physical inventory in the warehouse floor, whether they're bringing in a PO onto the dock, put away, putting in a production order, coming out of production order, maybe a shipment delivery note. Anytime there's movement, we want to make sure that we're always updating SAP Business One at real time. Okay, and who needs it? Well, to answer that question, I thought I'd get a little bit Jeff Foxworthy here today, and we're going to say you may not need a WMS if. All right, so if you have less than 100 inventory items, you may not need a WMS. If you handle less than 10 sales orders per day, you may not need a WMS. If your profits are extremely high, wouldn't that be nice? And a 20% efficiency savings will not improve your business by much, you may not need a WMS. If you do not care where your items are located within your warehouse and have pickers running around your warehouse all day, you may not need a WMS. And if your team enjoys spending hours and hours manually performing physical counts, well, you may not need a WMS. If your warehouse team are proficient and accurate data entry experts, wouldn't that be nice? You may not need a WMS. If you enjoy spending time explaining to your customers why you shipped the wrong product, we all need a reason to call our customers, right? Well, you may not need a WMS then. And if you do not want to improve the quality of your customer service, well, you may not need a WMS. But in all seriousness, what all those come down to really is that we really want to be able to track our inventory and make sure it is up to date all the time, right? We want to be able to say, I can look in the system and say my inventory is this, and I know that is exactly what it is, and I can feel confident about that. We want to be able to handle the volume of shipments and inventory movement. We want to be able to have a business where inventory is not sitting still. We want to be able to move it, and we want to be able to handle that volume as it increases. We want to be able to handle faster cycle counting times, or even mitigate the need to count. So we have customers who go from counting once a week to maybe once a quarter because they feel confident enough in their accounts. And we're all in the business to increase profitability. So customer retention is pretty important to that. So shipping the right product and better customer service, we want to be able to tell our customers where their product is, the right product, tell them where it is in the cycle as far as distribution or whether we're producing it at any given time. So with all that said, my name is Michael Hollinger. I'm the CEO and co-founder of WSYS, and I don't plan on spending a whole lot of time on PowerPoint slides today. I really want to get into the demo and show product. I know what you guys all want to see is see the actual product. I just wanted to introduce myself and say thanks for spending some time with us for an hour. I know attention is hard to get these days, so I really appreciate your attention. I just want to say a few words about who WSYS is real quick. So we are a 15-year-old company. This is actually our 15-year anniversary this year, and we have 360 plus customers. Just a small list here, an example. And these are customers that depend on us for their mission critical needs. Our customers are running our product on the warehouse floor, and that's mission critical to get the shipments out the door. So they depend on us to make sure that we are providing efficient, accurate products to help get their customers satisfied. I just want to mention here that we are certified for both Microsoft SQL Server and SAP HANA. I'm going to show product in HANA today, but it works for both SQL Server and HANA. All right, so we call this the flexible out-of-the-box WMS. So I just want to talk about these two words real quick. So if you go into the Google and type in out-of-the-box, this is what you get. Used to refer to the immediate usability or functionality of a newly purchased product, typically an electronic device or a piece of software, right? So immediate usability, and we like to say, if you have your Wi-Fi and your handhelds in place, you should be able to install our product and be scanning inventory in the afternoon, okay? And I'm gonna go through what is included in the out-of-the-box here in a minute. And then flexibility, able to be easily modified to respond to altered circumstances or conditions. So this is important because not every customer has the same business processes. They're all unique. Every customer that we work with has built up and changed their processes over the years. And, they all have different ways of shipping and different ways of receiving, transferring, production. All those needs are very unique to every customer. So flexibility is very important. So Agility Essentials is the name of our product for the out-of-the-box WMS, and here's a list over here on the left of the out-of-the-box processes that you get. So everything from receiving purchase orders coming in the door and putting it away, transferring, shipping out, production, issue, return, receipt, cycle counting. What I want to mention here is the bin batch serial control with B1. So there's two elements to this. One is if you're utilizing bins, batch, and serial numbers in Business One, this is where WMS is really important because these are extra inventory layers that are really extra pieces of information to keep track of. And if you get those updated and inputted into SAP Business One incorrectly, it can create, several hours of tracking that down and figuring out what happened. So scanning that and getting into the system real time is super important. But the other thing is we don't have a side table or side database to keep track of these bin batch serial numbers. Everything is within Business One. We update those real time inside of Business One using the APIs of Business One so that everything is up to date, real time, no syncing going on. All right. So, and I'm going to show you document label printing. We have our own label designer. I'll show you how that works as well. So I just wanted to give you a quick overview of what makes our product powerful. So some WMSs you see out there where it's a lot of like grids and clicking around with styluses and tapping this and tapping that, go look up this order, go find this item, and it's just a lot of screens. And we want to be able to keep on one screen, and ultimately the goal is to have you just scan. You're going to be able to just scan your order, scan your item, type in your quantity, print a label, and move on to the next transaction. Do it again, and just get it into the system as fast as possible. So that's really the power in the way these screens are designed. And Agility Design is our product for flexibility. So speaking of design, this is where we design all of our forms on the handheld. So you'll see here this goods receipt PO. This is the form I just went through and just showed you as an example. That form and all of our forms, out-of-the-box forms, are built and designed 100% from the ground up in this design tool. So by using this design tool, you can actually take our forms and 100% modify, add user-defined fields, map those to user-defined field on a document in B1, or maybe you want to have a user-defined table that you want to insert records into and link back to those documents. You can move these fields, add new buttons. You really have full control over these screens, and you don't have to write a single line of code to do all that. All right, so we'll get into the demo. So we're going to make s'mores today. So I wanted to pick something easy. I'm pretty sure everybody has had a s'more around a campfire. So we know it's a graham cracker, chocolate square, and a marshmallow. Really simple. All right, so let's go ahead and move into the demo portion. All right, so here is Agility Mobile. And today I have a bill of material for my s'mores, which is chocolate, marshmallow, and graham cracker. I'm going to receive those goods in on a purchase order, put them away, show you how we can do other forms of transfer. I'm going to do, along the way, I'll show you how we do document printing, and then we're going to do production issue as well as a receipt. And then we're going to do a little bit of cycle counting as well as shipping out the final s'mores on the handheld. All right, so let's get into it. So I'm going to go here to purchasing. We'll just look at what we're dealing with here. So in B1, we have 3 orders here, 13, 68, 69, and 70, okay? So on my handheld, I'm going to choose goods receipt PO. And anytime you can scan a barcode is what you want to aim for. Okay, so I showed how you can scan, and that's the ultimate goal. You can always type. So if you can't scan it, you can always type it and just hit enter. And there's validation, so we know that purchase order is not a valid purchase order. There's also lookups on these fields. So all the fields do have lookups. So if you do need to look it up and then start typing your order, you can do it that way as well. So what we're going to do is focus on scanning today. So I'm going to scan my purchase order, scan my item, all right, remaining 100. And also I can, while I'm in here, I can choose available to promise. So I can say, what do I have? What am I waiting for? I can see purchase order and I can see production work order we're going to be working on here. It's requiring 50. My available is 286 based on what's in stock and what is committed and available. All right, so I'm just going to type in 100. And we're going to receive that. It's now been received in Business One, and we're also going to print a label. So this label, for demo purposes, is just coming to the screen. Obviously, that would print right to the label printer right there on the floor. Okay, so I'm just going to take a step back and see what this looks like. So for label printing, if I go over here on the menu of B1 and go to my options, documents, document management, and we go to purchasing and PO receiving. This is our PO receiving label. So you just click new and add this label. This is from our label designer. And so access is public. That means it's going to print for every transaction. I can exclude it from certain items or make it private, and it's assigned to certain items. So sometimes our customers might have 10, 20 different labels on here assigned to different items. You know, sometimes you may have a 1x2 inch label for small items, or a 4x6, or a full 8.5 by 11. Okay. So if I click on the PO receiving label here, I can open it up, and I'm going to open up right into our label designer. So I can just open up and make changes to it right here in place. Okay, I'll just pop it up here. So this is the simple label designer. I can add text fields, pictures, barcodes, and move them around wherever you want. And I go in here and build my SQL query. And then once I design my SQL query, then I just assign these columns back to whatever field I want on the actual label. So it's pretty straightforward and simple. It's exactly what you need, no more, no less. All right, so let's continue on. And so now we receive that PO. We're going to go ahead and do our, oops, didn't mean to close it, I meant to clear it. We're going to do our next PO, scan the item, and we'll receive 100 on that one. And there's our label again. Okay, and I'm going to clear this one and do the next PO. And again, we'll just do 100. All right. So let's take a look inside of Business One real quick, and let's look in our item master. And let's take a look at our chocolate bar. And particularly, let's look at the bins that we've got set up here. So we've received 05-doc 100 into 05-doc. And the reason I went to 05-doc is when I go to my options on the handheld, I've chosen my receiving bin to be 05-doc. And that's why when I pop up the form, it defaults to 05-doc. If I don't set that up, then I can just receive into whatever bin I want to receive into. All right, so we'll keep this up. And we're going to go to put away. So put away, it's going to take it from the doc bin, and then we're going to put it into a put away bin. So to do that, I'm going to scan, let's scan my first item. Okay, so there's 100. And I'm going to scan the match that came in, which is 1368-00. And that batch number that was built with a Serra Builder. So when we received it, we automatically set it up to build out the batch number to be the PO number dash and then the line number padded with zeros. So I'm going to scan the bin that I'm going to put that away into, and we'll just go ahead and move 100. Okay. So now if we close this and pop it back up, we can now see it's been moved into the appropriate bin, and the doc bin is no longer showing because it's empty. All right. So we don't need to go through all the put away on the other items. We can leave them there. That's fine for now. But I want to show you another way we can transfer. So I'm going to come over here to the bin transfer. So this is just a one-off. I just want to transfer from one bin to another within my default warehouse. So default warehouse, again, is defined here under options. My default warehouse is my 05 warehouse. So it's just going to pick up that warehouse in the bin transfer. So I'm going to scan my chocolate bar. I'm going to move it from the bin that I put it away into, and I'm going to scan oops, got to scan the correct batch first. So there's a good example of validation. So scan the appropriate batch. scan the right item, or correct bin, and I'm going to move 10 of those. Okay, so that quickly we just moved 10 from one bin to another. Alrighty, so let's keep moving here. So far we've done goods receipt PO, put away, and we showed how we can move inventory around the floor there. So now we've got our inventory brought into our warehouse and we know where it is. We want to do a production order. So let's take a look at that real quick. So the production order we're going to work on here is production order 256. So we need 1 chocolate bar, 1 graham crackers, and 1 marshmallows for every 1 s'mores kit we make. All right, pretty straightforward. And actually, I'm going to leave that one up, because I want to see this update real time here. So I'm a production issue, and I'm going to scan my order 256. Okay, I'm going to scan the chocolate bar. I'm going to go to the bin and scan the batch out of the bin, and we're going to issue 50. All right, so as soon as I do that, I can come in here and refresh this and see that I've now issued 50 of the chocolate bar to the production order. Okay, so then I'm going to scan my next item, my graham crackers, scan its bin in the appropriate batch that we just brought in, and I'm going to go ahead and issue 50 of those as well. And that's going to go negative. So there's another good example, because I didn't bring those in. I forgot to do the put away. So we need to do a put away on those. I was incorrect about that. So let's do that real quick. So I'm going to scan my item, and I'll do a put away of those real quick. There we go. Now we'll have enough available. So 256, and we want our graham crackers. There we go. And then our last item is the marshmallows, and we'll put 50 in as well. So now we can refresh this again and see now we've done the issuing of all 3 items. All right, so now that we've issued to the work order, at the end we want to do reporting of production. So we're going to do a production receipt. We're going to also do production return. So if we maybe put 50 in, and for whatever reason some of them were bad and I only produced, say, 48 of them, I could return 2 back of maybe 2 other items that were okay. So the production receipt, we're going to scan 256, and so complete is 0 so far, remaining is 50. So I'll scan the bin in which I want to receive into. The batch number is going to be a Julian date. So I mentioned that at the beginning on the PO receiving, we had a batch number was pre-built for us. We're doing the same thing here. So let me show you where we do that real quick, so you understand what I'm doing. Again, if I go to our WISIS folder here and go to our Serra lot builder, so on the purchase order, we had a lookup in the table column, and we got the doc number, a dash, and then we did line number padded with zeros. Okay. For the production order production order, we're just going to do simply a Julian date. Okay. We can come in here and add all kinds of other options. We'll go to properties of this one. I can add a static global, which is just static, just some text. That's always going to be like a dash or an @ sign or something. I can do a lookup into a table column, date stamp, time stamp, a global number that's sequential, that's just constantly growing, year, month, day, Julian date, day of week, Julian day. So these are all different sequences we can then build up and create for either production, inventory control, PO receiving, for lot numbers, serial numbers. We have it automatically build lot and serial numbers for us if that's what we want. If you don't build them in here, then they just leaves it blank, and you can type or scan whatever lot number you want when it comes in. So sometimes if your vendor's providing with a lot number, you can just scan the vendor number if you'd like, the vendor's lot number if you'd like. So let's finish this out. So we need to put in 50, and just like PO receiving, we're going to want to print a label as well. All right. All right, so that's it for production. I'm not going to go into pallets today. So we do have a pallet management module as well that adds on, so it allows us to go in and build pallets. They're what we call floating pallets, license plate numbers, so you can move those around the floor, do let down, view your pallets, transfer them, and ultimately pack them and load them up onto shipments as well. But I'm going to move on to, I thought I'd go to sales order delivery and sales order picking, and then I'm going to wrap up with inventory counting. So to do that, I'm going to go into my sales order module in B1. And I have two orders I want to look at. First one is we're going to take the s'mores and we're going to ship out 10 of them. This is going to be a very simple sales order delivery. We're just going to take a quantity of 10 with the sales order. We're just going to go out and just create a delivery note. It's going to be really simple. And then I'm going to come back and show you how we can do a little bit more of a complex directed picking process. All right, so we're going to go to SO delivery, sales order delivery on the handheld. And we're just going to scan the order or scan our item, the bin we just produced into, as well as the batch that we just created. And we're just simply going to just create a delivery note for 10. And at this point, we can also print other documents. I didn't say documents up for this presentation, but you could, just with every other thing with pre-receiving and production, with document management, we can add documents in all these processes. All right, so if we look at the sales order and refresh it, it's now been closed. So we look at the target document, and we now have a delivery note created for the sales order. So that's for maybe kind of a smaller company who just needs to get some delivery notes created out the door as you go. You're just maybe scanning, one line, two line, real simple. My second order that I have that I'm dealing with here is I'm not dealing with s'mores anymore. I just have some demo data I wanted to use because it best demonstrates what I'm trying to show here today. I've got 4 line items, quantity of 2, 1, 1, 1. And if I look here at pick lists, I've got a view pick list. And it's on a pick list, pick number 105. So I could have a pick list with many documents on it, but this one just happens to have 1. It doesn't matter whether you have 1 or many. So then I'm going to go over to the handheld. And I could do sales order picking or directed sales order picking. Sales order picking is where I can pick one line item at a time. Directed sales order picking is also one line item at a time, but it's more guided and directed. And it's going to be in bin sequence order. So by scanning my picking number, it's going to tell me to go to this first item, this first bin. This is the smallest bin of all, right? So I need to get 2 for that item. And it wants me to validate the item in the bin. So I'm going to scan my item, scan and validate the bin, put in 2. Okay, that's now been picked. All right, so as we're going, if we look at our pick list here, as we're going along, it's going to go ahead and start picking our pick list as we go. So I go to my second item, and again, I'm going to scan my item, scan and verify the bin, and do 1. Okay, so now we're going to go a little bit out of sequence here. So instead of going to the next line item of A0003, it's going to take me to the last one because that bin number is actually higher or lower than the third line. So it's going to bin sequence number here. So again, I'm going to scan my item, scan and verify the bin, type in 1, and our last item here is the third line. Type in 1, and we'll go until it says we're fully picked. All right, once we're fully picked, then we simply create the delivery note by clicking delivery. Okay. So now again, if I refresh this sales order, we can see that it's been closed, and it's going to create a delivery note for only what's been picked. So whatever we picked, if we didn't pick all of them, or if we picked partial lines, it's only going to create a delivery note for what's been picked on the pick list. All right, so we've gone through purchase order receiving, we've gone through put away and transfers, we've gone through how to do production issue and receiving, and then all the way through the end where we actually are shipping out and create delivery notes out the door. I thought I'd just touch on cycle counting and show you how cycle counting works. So I'm going to go into inventory transactions to my inventory counting. And I've already got a document created here. So this is document 7. So the way that inventory counting works in our system is once you create the inventory count document in B1, then the handheld process is what we use to go and just start doing the counts. Once we've done all the counts, then you can come in here and do your standard copy to inventory posting of whatever has been counted out there on the floor. All right, so we'll go to inventory count, and we want to put in our document 7, and we'll scan our item, bin, our batch. Okay, so it shows counted as 0 so far. Okay, so I'm going to count 31. And if I scan the item again, it's going to tell me counted 31. Let's say I found one more, so I'll count one more. So now when I scan that again, we can see counted as 32. All right. So then I'll go ahead and count my second item. So we counted as 0, we'll count 30. So you just go through and count, and as you're doing that, if I refresh this, you can see it's actually going to update the counts in B1. So there's 30 and 32. So as you go through, and once everything is counted, you simply copy this to an inventory posting and update your inventory back into B1. All right. So that is the gist of it. I know we had set up for an hour. There's one more thing I wanted to mention, because I know there are some people on here from Latin America. So I just want to show, if I go here into options, by user, I can change my language. We've got so we got a full terms library in here for multi-language. So I can come in here and change by user the different languages. So I just want to touch on that real quick for those of you who are not in North America region. Okay, so that was short and sweet, quick to the point. I didn't want to take up too much of your time today, and so at this point, I can open it up for some questions. I think we do have some questions out here already. Let's see.
Michael, there is a question from Dustin. He asked a question about what version of product we support and which databases do we support.
Okay, that's a good question. Yeah, so we're certified on SQL Server and HANA. So you do not have to have HANA. You can use HANA or SQL Server, and we support one version back of the current release. So you need to be on 9.2 or above at this point.
Okay. Everybody, please feel free to add some more questions in here. We have another one related to picking. During picking, do you create an inventory transfer of the picked items to the staging area, or are they left in their locations? Where do they go when they pick, Mike?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So the out of the box, it does leave them. It's just the standard B1 process of picking them. But we have worked with customers where we do also do the transfer, because it is important to get that out of the bin so it's no longer there. So yeah, we have done that, because one thing I totally forgot to show, I was so focused on the actual demo, and this is actually probably a good point to show it, is I wanted to go into Form Studio really quickly. So if you look at Form Studio, this goods receipt PO, this is the same form as this, but this is the design time version of it. All right, so I can actually create a field. So I got a new field in here, and I can put that field anywhere I want on the form. And then if I go to my action of that save button, so on the PO receipt post, I can go to my object properties of that. I'm going to move. There's a lot to this, so I'm not trying to do a whole training session on this. I just want to give you an overview of how this works. But if I go to my user fields, there's 15 username value pairs that you could use. So if you had a user-defined field on the document, I could then take this new text field and just map it to that new user-defined field. And next time I do a PO receipt, it'll just start updating that field in B1. And of course, when I'm doing this, I can also save it and simulate it right here and go through the process. So I can actually test it. It goes through the same exact code as the handheld. And then once I do that, if I relaunch it, I now have my new text field. So we're updating the database. All the instructions are stored in the database. So to answer that question about picking, is if I come down to the, and so this is what we've done for customers before, to the picking process. So the directed sales order picking process, when I click the save, when I actually do the saving process, it's going to pick. So it does the pick. So I need to give it a doc entry, a line number, and the quantity. And so that's going to update the pick in B1. Well, I can have many actions happen here. So I could, as soon as that happens, on the same button click, I could come in here and do an IM transfer. Okay, so I would give it the item, give it the from warehouse code, which would be the same warehouse that's on the order. Just use default location. So I go through here and just put the quantity that I actually picked, and then on the object properties, I would come down here, and I have the bin absolute value that I've actually picked from the actual bin, and then the 2 would be whatever the bin absolute value is of the staging bin. So this would do the pick and do the transfer at the same time. So that would be the next sequence here, sequence 2. And the way that works is as soon as I click that button, the first thing it's going to do is going to create what's called a transaction. So a transaction and SQL and HANA are the same thing. The idea is that I can do a bunch of SQL statements, and then if anything fails along the way, I can roll it back, or if it's all successful, I commit it. So I would do the pick, do the transfer all in one click of a button.
That's pretty good, Michael. I think everybody's getting more than they paid for today. How about another question? We have a question about Cloud Control Center or SAP hosted. Where are we with that?
Yeah, we don't have any current plans for the SAP hosted. The security is very, very tough there. But we are working on Cloud Control Center this summer. This summer we should be multi-tenant on the standard Cloud Control Center. But we aren't going to be. I mean, we're not looking at trying to do working with like super tight integration. We're going to be in all these specific folders. So we're working with certain resellers right now, certain partners who are able to allow us to have a little bit of flexibility on folders and things like that.
Mm-hmm. And another question regarding pallets. So today we concentrated on the Essentials product. The Essentials product were all those different things Michael had showed in the beginning. The tool set that Michael showed is an option. You don't have to use the tool set if you don't want to, but the tool set is an option you can purchase. And so is pallets. Michael, do you have pallets on your scan gun? I don't need you to do a full demo on pallets,
Yeah.
but maybe you could talk about just creating a pallet number, and then maybe if you received a pallet, staging a pallet, stuff like that.
Yeah. So we out of the box with Pallet Management, we have this thing called Pallet Builder. So with Pallet Builder, I would come in and just create a new pallet and then scan my item. So if you want to come out of goods receipt PO, you would receive everything in the dock, and then I would come in here and start building pallets where the bin would be 05-doc. Once I build these pallet numbers up, and then I would print a label, then I could do a pallet transfer where I'd scan the pallet and transfer it from the dock bin to a put away into appropriate bins. We do have customers who have, using Form Studio, who have added Pallet Builder, because the pallet management is just like the API for B1. We have our own APIs for that, so you can stack those transactions too. You could do a goods receipt PO followed by build a new pallet, and you can stack those up. So that's not as common because it's a lot of logistics, and everybody does that so differently as far as I'm going to scan the PO and which pallet and the sequence and all that stuff and how that comes off the truck. So typically our customers want to get everything off the truck, onto the dock, get the truck driver out of there so the truck driver is not waiting for all the logistics of building up your pallets.
Thank you. If there's any other questions, I've got a couple more here. One is related to the Android edition. When will the Android edition pop out, Mike?
Yeah, so we do have an Android version we're working on right now, and it is going to be a native Android app. So there's a lot of great devices coming out now with Android, and so this summer, probably June or July, we plan on having some beta version, and then Q4, we're hoping to be at a point where we're going to be able to release that.
Very good. Very good. Well, for an hour webinar, we've run through that pretty quickly. We're down to 35 minutes. If there's no more questions, we can wrap up today. This demonstration has been recorded, and we will be happy to send that out. If you have other questions, please feel free to contact us, and we will respond promptly.
Thanks for your time, everyone.
Thank you.